Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Ghosts and Spirits video. I thought I would mix another one of these in here while I'm continuing to do your mysteries and oddity suggestions. This one is actually not even sort of an encounter video, but it's more along the lines of a story. In this case, it's an urban legend tied to a ghostly spirit that haunts a hospital there in Mexico. When I was looking at the information, I realized this is a great way to actually showcase it as a topic video, like the kind of topics that I talk about within some of my other playlists. And it's in this case a new urban legend, something that I haven't heard about in the past. But in fact, you're looking at a representation of it now, has a very unique name too. It's known as La Planchada. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this very fascinating urban legend. Those of you that are in Mexico, in fact, you'll have a chance to visit this hospital in person if you want. And maybe you might even be able to see what this ghost is like there. So here's what it says. Oh, actually, it comes from the reddit.com website. They're from the subreddit True Scary Stories as well. And a user by the name of Unhappy Metal 101 posted it. So here's what they say. The legend of La Planchada is a story of heartbreak about the life of Eulalia, a young nurse who was very dedicated and professional in her work of caring for the sick in the Juarez Hospital in Mexico. She was very grateful and good with people along with the patients. One day, a very beautiful and womanizing doctor came to work at the same hospital, and Eulalia fell in love with the man and they then became engaged. When the day of the wedding approached, the man told her that they had to postpone it because he had to travel to the north of the country and that it would take about 2 weeks to return. However, Eulalia waited for him in love and very patiently. Eulalia even refused engagements from other men with the excuse of her engagement when her beloved would return from his trip. At that moment, a friend of Eulalia's told her that the doctor she was waiting for had actually just married another woman and had gone to another country, so he would never return. This generated a deep sadness in Eulalia, so much so that she ended up neglecting her own health to the point of dying in that same hospital. Now, witnesses who claim to have seen the spirit of this nurse, who roams the corridor of the hospital Juarez de Mexico, describe her as a good-looking woman with blue eyes and blonde hair. La Planchada is one of the most famous urban legends in Mexico City and is nothing more than a story of the spirit of a woman who, despite suffering the heartbreak of a man, continues to watch over the patients of this clinic. Around this legend, there are hundreds of stories of patients in a delicate state of requiring urgent attention. They receive a visit from a nurse dressed in their perfectly pressed and starched attire. After giving them their medication, the nurse goes to the patient's family to tell them that everything is under control. The nurse takes advantage of these moments with the patient or relatives to tell them about the grief that distresses her, a love sickness caused by a doctor who jilted her to marry another woman. According to versions, the next morning, when patients or relatives ask where and how is the attentive and beautiful nurse with the broken heart from the night shift, the hospital staff has to reveal the horrible truth. There is no such worker, and her characteristics fit those described from the urban legend of La Planchada. Nowadays, every time a nurse falls asleep on the night shift, Eulalia's ghostly spirit wakes her up, or when a nurse forgets to give a patient his or her medication. Then that's pretty much it. That's everything associated with this information for La Planchada, a Mexican urban legend. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here. Fascinating stuff, right? This is almost like the legend, the Mexican legend associated with La Llorona. But instead of someone causing havoc and creating bad things and chasing people and then killing them, this has to do with a ghost that actually helps people. First off, it was very tragic to read about her situation where she was someone that fell in love with a doctor, this nameless doctor, but he in turn ended up betraying her and then ended up marrying someone else. He was basically with two women at the same time. And then when that happened, that left her so heartbroken. She died of a broken heart. There's those stories about people that have that happen where they essentially go into a deep depression. And then when that occurs, they never snap out of it. And then their health deteriorates. And then that's it. They're done at that point. So it looks like that's what happened with this poor young lady, Eulalia. Now, La Planchada can mean several things, the name associated with it. The first one that comes to mind is the one I tend to agree with. There's a story that you'll know she's there, which is again at the hospital there in Mexico City, Hospital Juarez de Mexico. So if you're there in that local area in Mexico City for whatever reason, and you want to try to see if there's a ghost there, go to the Hospital Juarez de Mexico, and that's where you'll see her. You have to look out for her having blonde hair and then blue eyes, and then most importantly, a perfectly pressed and starched nurse dress uniform. That's what La Planchada stands out as a name, because it's almost like a way of saying that it's something that's ironed, like it's very pressed, it's very straight. That's like La Planchada. And so there's that. The other thing I can think of is it has to do with her hair as well, if it's perfectly straight and so on. But yeah, if you want to go there, who knows, you may have a chance to see her. But the way it indicates is you have to be almost like a patient there or be family of a patient in order for her to be there, because apparently she's still there to this day caring for the patients, especially if they're in a delicate state or they need urgent attention. And then she's able to then come alive. She basically comes back instead of being a ghost as a real person, real enough where people can apparently not even see through her like a ghost would normally be seen. Instead, she appears 100% as a real person. They talk with her, she talks with them. It's intelligent conversations. She walks away, then people ask about her, and then they realize the truth that she is a ghost. She is not alive. They just witnessed something associated with the urban legend. So great stuff. Again, good tale, at least when it comes to her being a beneficial ghost, someone that is there helping out people, but overall a tragic tale too about what occurred to her to get to that point. But let me know what you guys think. La Planchada, never really heard of this Mexican urban legend. Anyone have more experience on the local level? Anything else I might have missed? Please post it below. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.